Okay, everyone. Good morning and welcome to the WiLS annual member meeting. My name is Jennifer Gursky. I'm the 2026 chair of the WiLS Board of Directors. It has truly been a joy to serve on this board for the past 5 years. I can't believe it's been 5 years. First, as an at-large representative in my role as program director for the Madison Trust for Historic Preservation, and now as chair. While the vast majority of WiLS members are indeed libraries, there is a growing and exciting number of cultural organizations like my own who are recognizing the tremendous value in participating with WiLS. From purchasing support and discounts, strategic planning, to the ideas to action grants, WiLS offers services and meaningfully strengthen organizations of all kinds. The Madison Trust was fortunate to receive an Ideas to Action grant in 2020 during the height of the pandemic. And I saw firsthand how important WiLS can be for small nonprofit cultural organizations. It reinforced for me just how essential WiLS is, not only to libraries, but to the broader ecosystem of cultural organizations serving our communities. From where I sit, libraries and cultural organizations share a deep commitment to care, stewardship, and community well-being. We strive to bring the very best to people we serve, and we care deeply about the outcomes of our work. I'm especially excited to learn from today's speakers about how they're serving their communities with compassion and care, two values our world needs more than ever right now. I am joined today by many of my fellow board members, and I'd like to take a moment to recognize and thank them for their service. The WiLS Board is deeply committed to representing you, our fellow members, and acting in your best interests. We care about the WiLS staff, about the organization as a whole, and we take very seriously our role as stewards of this incredible organization that we all rely on. Our promise to you is that we will remain vigilant in securing WiLS' future so it can continue doing the great work we all know, value, and admire. I'd like to turn things over to our Executive Director, Jen Chamberlain, to introduce the WiLS staff and welcome all of our speakers.
Thanks, Jennifer, and hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. We're so glad that you're here today, and grateful that you continue to engage with us and are interested in what we have going on and interested in hearing from your friends across the state. So thank you. Before we begin, I have to recognize the people on the screen that you see right now. These 12 individuals are dedicated to you and to the work that you're doing. They work tirelessly behind the scenes to ensure that our services not only run smoothly, but that they truly make a difference in the lives of our members and ultimately the communities that you serve. So it is their commitment, their creativity, and the care that they provide really is what brings our mission to life. So today's member meeting wouldn't be possible without their talents. And so thank you, staff, for all that you do. And you'll be hearing from a few of these folks near the end of the meeting. So just a few logistics before we get started. There's always housekeeping when it comes to something like this. Today's meeting is expected to run around 90 minutes. So take care of yourself and step away if you need to, but come on back because there'll be lots of good things going on. We probably will not have time for questions of our presenters today, unfortunately, but when we send out the recording and meeting follow-up, we'll make sure that their contact information is there if you want to follow up with them offline later. And if you need to use captions for today's meeting, just note that you can do that by turning that on by clicking the Show Captions button. So if you need help with that, drop a chat in there and we'll make sure to give you better directions there. Like I said, the meeting is going to be recording. We'll be sending out the recording, the slides to all registrants via email, and it will also be posted on our website and on our YouTube channel. Okay, so with that, let's get to the main event. I am thrilled to welcome today's presenters who represent a real cross-section of the WiLS membership across the various types of libraries and cultural organizations that we partner with. Our theme today shines a light on members who are going the extra mile for their communities. Through a deep understanding of what their local community needs, they're finding meaningful ways to extend their impact while still staying true to their mission. Our presenters are leading in this work in different contexts, right? And so while what their environment looks like may be different, what they share in common is that commitment to service and connection. So we hope that their experiences will spark ideas, affirm the important work that you're doing already, and then maybe inspire new possibilities in your own organizations. So I'm grateful again to our presenters for taking the time to share their inspired ideas and the lessons they've learned. So first, I'm going to welcome our friends from the Ginanda Gikendaasomin Tribal Library, housed on the Red Cliff Nation. Lynn Goki, the library director, and Kathy Bari, the library assistant, are here to share how their programming thrives on partnerships with other tribal departments, community organizations, their local school district, and others. They are really trying to bring the whole community together. Lynn told me that we try to center our community in everything we do. Collaboration makes doing more possible and encourages us to leave our silos to better serve our community. What a great way of looking at it and a great approach. So I'm going to turn things over to you, Lynn and Kathy. Thank you for being here.
Witch, thank you. Am I able to click through the slides or do I just like say next slide?
We will move through them for you and we'll try to keep up, but you
Okay,
can certainly
sounds
tell us
good.
to advance. Yep.
You'll be shocked, but we have not practiced at all. So, Bonjour, everyone. Hello, my name is Lynn Goki. I'm currently the library director. I've been in this role for almost a year. I was originally hired as the library engagement coordinator, and our previous director left last March to pursue a new job opportunity. And Ginanda Gikendaasomin means we seek to learn in Ojibwe, and that is the name of our tribal library. I'll let Kathy introduce herself.
Bonjour, my name is Kathy Bari. Megzi Benesek Nenda Jenakaz. I'm from Red Cliff, Mishquabican, and I just learned that my my clan is the Martin clan, and so um, I had always thought it was the Eagle clan, but I'm working on that. I'm still the library assistant, and I'm grateful to be here. Thank you.
So just a little bit about Red Cliff. If you've never been here or you haven't heard of us, we are the northernmost tribal nation in what we now call Wisconsin, at the very northern tippity top of the state. On the reservation, officially our population is around 1,300. We have about 8,000 members total, so most of them live off the res. And we are one of the smaller tribal nations in Wisconsin, but we're the largest employer in our county. And this is from our 2024 annual report to the membership if you're interested in more specific numbers. Just a little overview. We can go on to the next slide. Um, the library has been here in this building where we are now since 2021. I have only been working here since 2023, but before that, it was in what is now the Tribal Administration Building, and before that was the Red Cliff Health Center. So we've had a few different iterations. And then previously, when I was a kid, the library was in the upstairs of the Head Start building, and the Head Start was in the basement. So preschool and library all in the same place. Our collection is mostly Native North American materials. We do have a special emphasis on Ojibwe authored books since we are an Ojibwe tribe. Some of our regular occurring programs are Agendasoda, means let's read in Ojibwe. It's a book club that Kathy has been running for years. Last year, we started a women's hand drum group that's still practicing at the library. Crafters niche, where people just kind of drop in, chat and craft, work on projects. We've hosted a few author talks. And in the last year or two, we've been hosting some small business and entrepreneur networking events. where small business owners can connect with each other and get connected with resources, classes, resources about like applying for grants and loans and stuff like that. And we are in the Northern Waters Library Network. And I included some flyers at first. The next few slides are flyers, and then the slides after that are photos from our programs. And so this is just kind of a few of the things that we've been doing. And Kathy, you want to talk more about these since you're the programming queen?
Well, if you looking at the screen right now, we were invited to the Elders Services Open House. It's not a new thing, but they're all under one roof. So that part is new, and they are in the elderly feeding site where they serve congregate meals. And they opened it up for a bunch of people. I didn't realize that really they didn't open it up for the whole countryside. It was actually only invited people were a few vendors from Great Lakes Intertribal Council, people that work there, and the library. And so, once you think about that, it really made me feel good to think that we were one of the very few selected to be there. And so you can see a couple of the booths on the one side, and then the little booth that I set up there. And we did have kids there, and they all signed up for library cards, and everybody won a book, and people love free books. And then most recently, if you go back one slide, we had joined together with another one. We had the Women's Wellness Gathering right in the middle there. And we focused on pelvic health and holistic healthcare. And we did hands-on Reiki, and we offered sexual assault information, domestic violence. We had the same nurse there. We had partnered with Essentia Health in Ashland or Tamarack Health now, and Aspirus or / St. Luke's. And so you can see we had a lot of sponsors on the bottom there, even our own clinic, and the ADRS was there. And so it was a great event. We had 120 ladies total from 3 days, and a lot of good feedback from that. And then the one flyer on the right is Linda Dunbar. She offers Sharing Circle. So on Monday nights, 2 Mondays a month, she will sit with the ladies, and they have a different topic each week. This week was self-care. And we are gearing up now for another women's gathering in June, and that will be our second one. And currently we are working with Mary Annette Pember. She will be here in April. She's a Red Cliff Tribal member, and her one book we will be featuring is Medicine River, which has to do with boarding schools. And the domestic violence program, we were asked to assist with them. We will be making red shawls, and we will take part of the MMIWR event during the powwow, and we will also, I was just gifted tobacco for the drum group to participate in the event in Ashland this summer, or this spring, May 3rd, I'm sorry, in Ashland at the park. And the drum group was part of that last year, and we were requested to return. We've actually been really busy, and we also raised a lot of funds. It took us 2 months, but we raised like $20,000, and 18 of us went out to California, and we played all over different. We were at the American Indian Residential Treatment Center, Changing Spirits. We were at
There was a native charter school. Was it a charter
the
school?
charter school.
Where we sang for some students and community members? There are some photos and a few slides on.
Yeah,
the
you'll see
California
them.
trip.
It was a lot of fun, and we went to had ceremony on the ocean, and we did the grandmother moon with the Tongva tribe. So we shared a lot of healing journey and good messages, and it was a lot of fun. So
Yeah. Yeah, we could maybe move on to the flyer on the right here. There's some photo. Yeah, the photos are from that event with Derek Nicholas, who's another tribal citizen of Red Cliff, who lives in Minneapolis, I believe, but
yep.
travels up north to collaborate with different tribal programs. Do you want to talk a little bit about the grouse soup?
So Derek Nicholas, I just love him. He's just all over the place. He goes overseas internationally also, and he does a lot of food sovereignty. And so on this occasion, we had him in town, and he made grouse soup. And so we used pretty much every part of that bird, and from the beginning to end. And what he's holding up in there are two medicines. And so the whole thing was teaching the medicine, the uses for that. The one on the little bubble looking thing is actually the baby's first rattle. And so it's part of, I don't remember what part, but then he had to blow into this little thing and open it up and put a couple of little a little grains that came out of the gizzard, and he's holding up the gizzard also, and it goes inside of that little bubble there, the little, I can't remember what little organ that was. And so that's no, I don't think
I
so.
don't know. I don't know either.
And so anyways, and so then we hung it up and dried, and that's the baby's first rattle. So it makes a little sound because those little grains of sand are in there making noise. And then the gizzard is folded in half like that and dried. And it, when it's folded like that, then it takes on the shape of a heart, and that is added protection. And I wish I could remember exactly what he told me about that, but we already had somebody in mind to give that to, somebody that will receive that as a gift once it's dried. And then the wings and the tail, we're working with the farm because we did that with the tribal farm. And we are going to make fans out of that.
Yeah, and the grouse soup recipe is from Derek's cookbook, which Jen shouted out in the chat. I don't know if you can even see it here, but it's very cool. The English translation is Through Food We Know Ourselves, a restorative cookbook. And it's very, very cool. Derek's a super cool guy.
Yes.
Next slide. And oh, these are from our college and career fair. We had some hiccups with the organizing. There was some weather, there was some government shutdown related issues, but it was still a successful event. The students who attended had a great time learning about different programs, different schools. UW Superior is in the top left. Someone from Gliffwick, Great Lakes Indian Fish and Wildlife Commission is in the bottom left. And Dorothy Asolo from UW-Madison on the right there.
And I loved Dorothea.
Mhm.
And she is going to come back this spring when the weather gets better. Unlike you, we are still very cool up here, very cold and lots of snow. And so she did this fabulous presentation on preserving the information off of those. And there was all tons of people there anyways, because they all wanted to know what she had. She had VCR tapes, cassettes, all different types of media. And then she was going to show people how to preserve them. And so it's really interesting. And so I've invited her back. So she will come back and do a presentation for us. And we'll invite, of course, everybody.
Yeah, and so this event was at the Legendary Waters Event Center, where a lot of the bigger events happen in Red Cliff. And so some of our collaborations, a lot of them actually involve going off-site away from the library, but still connecting with the community. And these are the bottom two are photos from our California trip with the drum group. The treatment center in the bottom left is a group photo from when we sang there. That was a really beautiful experience. The top photos, I think, are from Nicolay College in Rhinelander.
The top
Right.
left, my left, the drums, that is from Nicolay College. We were invited down there. And then the one on the right is from the women's gathering that we just had. I'm not too sure because the picture's too tiny for me to see who they're talking about or who's in the middle, but you can see everybody's in a circle. We had a lot of really good feedback with that. Looks like that'll end up with an annual event also. And we had Denise Sweet, if you know her. She's just a fabulous person. She's a poet laureate for Ginanda Gikendaasomin for us. And she did dementia care. And we also had a writing exercise in there. So she did a great job. And we hope to publish some of the works that the ladies wrote. And then the bottom one, is my friend Joe Gonzalez. Professionally, he's known as Thunderhand Joe. He's a former member of Redbone. And he came and met us out at the treatment center. And so he's like my brother. We've known each other for like 30 years. And then our friend Sam, she's one of our volunteers. And then my daughter's on the other side of him.
Yes, Redbone the band, famous Thunderhand Joe, was kind enough to grace us with his presence. Here's some more photos from the California trip. Um, that came together really fast. The drum group started with a drum making workshop in March of last year, and then in May we sang at the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Relatives event in Ashland that Kathy mentioned. And in June we found out we had been invited to sing in California. So it was all very fast.
Yeah, it was fast. And you can see up on top there, we're on the cliffs. I had a really hard time there because, oh my God, we're right on the cliffs. And then we took over this little Mexican restaurant there. Oh, the family was just beautiful. And we had a lot of fun there. And then on the bottom one, we are at Nicolay College playing again, and that's the drum group.
Yeah, I did see the question in the chat about tech training. It's not in the slideshow, but we do have a digital navigator who comes twice a month, and his position is funded through the Northwest Wisconsin Workforce Investment Board. And each of the counties in northern Wisconsin has their own digital navigator. Eric is the name of the one for Bayfield County, where we are. And he lends devices like laptops and iPads, but also is available to answer people's questions about technology. And that has been a really great resource because he is an IT guy with people skills and has just like a really great rapport with a lot of folks who come in. It's mostly elders who access that service, but people of all ages do too. And that has been really cool. And I think we're almost to the end of the slideshow. Yeah, that was it.
Well, thank you both so much for sharing all of that. I'm really struck by the the various ways that you're bringing people together in all these different settings. I think you said 120 women at that event. When you mentioned the fact that your population is just about 1,200, that's absolutely incredible. Any library would just kind of kill for those numbers. So that's just fantastic. You're obviously reaching a lot of people. Okay, so we're going to move on to our next presenter, Trisha Cox, Assistant Director from the Burlington Public Library. This presentation comes to us via our Ideas to Action grant program, which has already sort of been mentioned. The library's Compassion Kit proposal caught our reviewers' attention, namely because it was directly meeting the needs of unhoused individuals in their rural community. The lack of public transportation, coupled with county services that were sometimes more than 25 miles away, make it even more challenging to connect individuals with the services they need. And so these compassion kits are one small but really meaningful way that the library can open their arms to all members of their community. And so we're excited to hear more about what you've done. So welcome, Trisha. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting us to present about these today. This is going to become a passion project for us. I am the assistant director at Burlington Library, and it dawned on me after watching the last slideshow that I should have had a slide about our library itself. We are on the western edge of Racine County in southeast Wisconsin. The city's population is about 12,000. And I was supposed to co-present today with Library Director Joe Davies, but he was unable to attend due to a prior commitment. I do want to take a second, though, and acknowledge and thank him for his Get to Yes philosophy, which empowers us as a staff to pursue innovative ideas and continually expand what it means to serve our community as a library. Pictured with me in the photo there is Miranda Weinkoff. She is our administrative assistant and was key in getting this project together. And actually, from idea to reality in under 5 weeks, we've had these kits ready to share. So I'm really excited to share how it all came together and the impact it's having for us. So if we go to the next slide, thank you. The idea for the compassion kits actually began in late 2023. Shortly after I joined the Burlington Library team, one of the things I noticed as a new employee was that there is a steady group of tweens and teens who walk to the library after school and spend hours hanging out each day. And while this was a really positive reflection of the library as a safe and welcoming space, it also revealed a real need. Many of these students were staying from mid-afternoon until early evening and were hungry. In addition, there were several patrons experiencing housing instability or financial hardship that were spending much of their whole days in the library from open to close. Staff, I noticed, were quietly sharing snacks from their own lunches and bringing in hygiene items and kind of passing them to some of our regulars. So in 2024, we took a more intentional step by setting up a small food pantry shelf, which is shown in the bottom corner of that slide. Initially, it was stocked primarily by staff, but it didn't take long for patrons to notice it and start stepping in with donations of their own. And as word spread, families who hadn't visited the library in years began stopping in, not only to access the food and hygiene items we had available, but also to reconnect with the library and discover the range of services we offer. So we started researching and having conversations with patrons and reaching out to some of our local community places. And we learned that the local food pantry access to that could be delayed by paperwork and had really limited hours due to staffing and budget constraints on their part. Some of the patrons who needed those services didn't have transportation, and it was a long walk to get there. So families needed something immediate, something that could help bridge that gap. So in response to what we were seeing, we expanded our food pantry by reallocating space in the library. And thanks to ongoing community support, it remains consistently well stocked and pretty widely used. As trust grew, we began building relationships with patrons. They began asking for help beyond just food. They needed assistance with renewing Medicare and food benefits, job searches, navigating other essential services. So that prompted an important question for us. How else could we support the immediate need of people right here in the Burlington community? So when Joe encouraged us to think about a project suitable for the WiLS grants, that question became the foundation of what would become Compassion Kit. So on the next slide, we began brainstorming ways to support these most vulnerable members of our community, and a clear shared mission quickly emerged. Every idea we had pointed back to the same core vision. First, to make kindness actionable by ensuring that everyone who walks through our doors feels seen, valued, and supported. And secondly, to meet people where they are by providing immediate practical assistance grounded in dignity and respect. So our goal is not to replace the vital services that are available in the community, but rather Compassion Kits are designed to bridge critical gaps by offering timely support while individuals navigate existing systems, reaching those who haven't been able to connect to the help they need. So on the next slide, what are Compassion Kits? They are backpacks containing essential items to address immediate needs. Each kit included hygiene products, basic supplies, resource guides, a laundry coupon for free loadable laundry and local laundromat, and a KC gift card. And these kits were free to anyone who asked for them. In addition to the practical supplies in each kit, we included informational and acknowledgement materials to support recipients and recognize contributors. Each kit included a small tag that looks like the one in the slide that was attached to keychain, and that tag acknowledged the WiLS Ideas to Action grant funding that made the project possible. And on the back, it thanked volunteers and provided references to local resources. Also in the kits on the next slide was a brochure that Miranda made explaining what Compassion Kits are, and it highlighted other local resources for individuals in need, detailing the services and support available through the library. We do have a phone, a public access phone here at the library that people were able to reach out using those numbers and contact information to seek additional support. On the next slide, each day the Burlington Library opens our doors to people from all walks of life. So we really wanted to make sure that we had a goal for the impact of this project. Some of those people come for books, others for Wi-Fi or story time, or just a quiet place to read or work on a puzzle. But this project is geared to help the people that are coming into our library simply to be somewhere. They come in to be somewhere safe, somewhere warm, somewhere welcoming. And homelessness in our community can be a little hard to see. We are a small, kind of rural community, and it doesn't always look, homelessness doesn't look like what we always picture. Some people sleep in cars parked out of sight, others with friends for a few nights at a time, or in buildings not meant for living. They may not always show up in official statistics, but they are here and we see them in our building every day. They're part of our community. According to the Homeless Assistance Leadership Organization in Racine County, about 55 out of every 10,000 residents do experience homelessness. If that rate is true for Burlington, that means 60 of our neighbors, 60 people living right here, are struggling to meet their most basic needs. On the next slide, Miranda, Joe, and I worked together to submit our ideas to WiLS for the Ideas to Action Fund on May 28th of 2025, and we were notified of the award on October 20th of 2025. These Compassion Kits we were able to put together from October 20th. They were available to people in need on November 26th of 2025, so just under 5 weeks. We gave away all 48 kits that we put together by January 15th of 2026. And then we received a small anonymous grant from a community member to put together 30 more. And those kits were made available February 6th. We have a handful of those left, so I think 3 or 4. On the next slide, shows some of the things we put in those kits. We spent a lot of time thoughtfully developing a list of items to put in each kit, and our goal was to address those immediate needs while remaining within our budget and creating a model that could be adapted for other communities. Seasonal considerations played a significant role since we were planning this in November in Wisconsin, and I don't know if you can remember back that far, but no, the end of November was very cold. Beginning of December was very cold. So we ensured the inclusion of weather appropriate items. Ultimately, what matters most is not the specific contents of the kit, but our responsiveness to local conditions and our focus on comfort, dignity, and practical usefulness. On the next slide, during the summer of 2025, so a little bit before we were notified of the grant award, a library patron shared that she works with the Share Construction Foundation as a part of their Share Cares group. And she asked whether the library had any projects that the foundation might support. We introduced her to the Compassion Kids project and the pending grant application, and she immediately expressed enthusiasm for the initiative and presented the idea to her foundation's board, who offered support regardless of the grant outcome, committing to fund the project if the grant was not awarded or to provide additional support if it was. So ultimately, the foundation contributed an additional $682 to support gift card purchases for the kids and to continue to support our food pantry. We were able to supplement our winter food pantry with their funds. In addition, we approached Solomon's Closet, and they were very excited to be included in the information on the kits to promote their services. They even brought quoted items to the library for patrons who couldn't get to their location, and offered things here because they are a little bit out of town, hard to get to for people that don't have transportation. We also explored distributing free soup coupons from local restaurants as an additional meal resource, but due to the time constraints of how quickly we put this together and hesitancy from some of the restaurant owners, that component couldn't be implemented during this current project cycle. But it remains a promising opportunity for future outreach and partnership. We did have, on the next slide, two community groups and multiple individuals volunteer to help assemble the bags. We chose the Wild and Brave homeschool group pictured here to help us, and we were able to use that then as an educational and volunteer opportunity for them. We talked a lot about the needs in our community, and I feel like the kids learned a lot, and it was really fun to put them all together with them. On the next slide, I want to share a couple of powerful examples of how this project directly supported those who needed it most. One patron, one of the most powerful examples I have, is a patron that came in. She experiences housing insecurity and came into the library shortly before closing and was really worried about the single-digit temperatures predicted for that night. And she was wearing boots that had gotten completely soaked through from rain that had happened throughout the day. Thanks to supplies from the Compassion Kids, staff were able to offer her dry socks, plastic bags to keep her feet warm, and inside her wet boots, hand warmers for both her hands and her feet, a gift card for a hot meal. She also left with a referral to Solomon's Closet where she could get dry boots and additional underwear. It was a small moment of connection and care, but one that made an immediate, tangible difference. And this interaction actually impacted another patron who witnessed what had happened and came in the next day asking about her shoe size and ended up purchasing her new waterproof boots. Dropped them off and asked us to give them to her that excitement, and she's still wearing those boots. I saw her yesterday. Another family stopped in because the local motel they were staying in, thanks to a voucher provided by our Racine County agency, suggested that they could find help at the library, and they left with a compassion kit, 2 library cards, a borrowed DVD player, DVDs, and an experience pass that allowed them a free hour of bowling at the local bowling. A mom came in, referred by someone at a different local support agency, and actually cried when she found out that there was a Casey's gift card in the kit because she didn't have enough gas to get to work, and the agency she typically gets a gas card from had run out of them that month. So these stories demonstrate the immediate impact this project was able to provide to our community. And without the WiLS grant and the support of Share Cares and members of our community, the library wouldn't have been able to respond with tangible assistance in these moments. On the next slide, we just want to make sure to extend our deepest gratitude to the volunteers and community partners who made this project possible. The Ideas to Action grant provided $2,000 in foundational funding, and the project was originally designed to be within this amount. But we increased the amount of the gift cards we were able to offer thanks to the Share Cares monies that they gave us. And in addition, Solomon's Closet contributed about a $200 in-kind support, bringing the project value to $2,882. Though modest in overall cost, this initiative reflects the power of a mission-aligned collaboration. when resources are guided by trust and flexibility and compassion, even small investments can produce meaningful, measurable outcomes that strengthen the community. So a lot of people have asked us what's next. While the Compassion Kits project has come to a close, our commitment to supporting neighbors experiencing housing insecurity remains strong. The library will continue to offer our vital services, including our on-site food pantry, access to a microwave, our ongoing role as learning and food center whenever it's safe to stay open. Patrons will still find Wi-Fi and hotspot checkout and technology assistance, access to books and media for learning and enjoyment. Library staff will also keep seeking opportunities to connect patrons with essential resources, strengthening partnerships with local organizations, and exploring new ways to offer practical people-centered support. We actually just met with someone from the United Way of Racine County last week to explore more ways that we can connect and serve our community. So whether through future initiatives, expanded collaborations, or simple everyday moments of care, we remain dedicated to ensuring that the library is a warm, welcoming place where everyone can find help, hope, and connection. Thank you for giving us the opportunity again to share about our project. We really enjoyed putting it together.
Wow, thank you so much, Trisha. I'm sort of struck by, this is so much, this is not just about the backpacks, right? It is so much more than that. And I think what's really going to stick with me is that your goal of making people feel seen and respected and have dignity is really powerful. So thank you for sharing. All right, we will move on to our next presenter. We are so excited to welcome Teresa Voss. She is the district librarian for the Verona Area School District, a former WiLS board member, and a dear friend. And so we're just delighted to have her here. Teresa and her team care for students in a variety of ways, from offering makerspace activities that they can make their fun items for themselves or to donate in the community, to offering quiet time and places for students to recharge. Just all sorts of wonderful things happening in Verona. And we want to hear more about how you're welcoming your students with open arms and helping them see the library as a comfortable refuge. So thanks for being here, Teresa.
Well, thank you for the invite. I really do appreciate it. And Trisha, Kathy, and Lynn, thank you so much for sharing so much of what you are doing. We are switching from public to school, so I'm going to give you a little bit of context of where we are at. You are seeing the library here at Verona Area High School. We have about a 10,000 square foot library, which is really in school world a big space. We moved in during COVID, so 2020. And when they designed this space, they honestly looked at it as one of the key spaces in the building. And I was super blessed with having this kind of space. So Verona is located on the next slide, if you would please. Thank you. Right outside, we're a suburban community of Madison, and we serve primarily two communities, Verona and Fitchburg, but we do have some farming community from the Paoli and Mount Horeb, as well as some of Madison school districts. We are at 1,900 students currently, so we have grown over the last couple of years. We have over 200 staff. District-wide, we have over 50 languages in the district. My team alone, I'm a full-time librarian. Super, super blessed with 2.5 assistants. This is not normal at all in school libraries. And the programming that I do, I couldn't do without. So I have to first say, like, team effort here. So what we do is because I have the people, we are open the entire day and we see over 35,000 people over the year. And that's a school year. So just context for you. When we think about the care, our goal is we really want our kids to be seen, valued, heard, and we want to make sure that we are providing as much as we can in different spaces. We know that if we can't get our students into the library now, they're not going to use the library post-secondary. So that's part of like our goal as that stepping stone. So we have been very intentional in creating spaces that are not only individual, but also group kind of spaces. And we've really kind of pushed like where kids can come, not only for just that quiet space, but kids are doing now interviews in the spaces. They take doctor's appointments, virtual appointments now in this space. Um, they come together as groups and they work together and they use boards and they collaboratively work to generate ideas. So that's kind of part of the different ideas that we have going on. And I'll be honest, having 10,000 square feet gives us like lots of different spaces that we can create this kind of thing. So that's part of what we do for the physical space. And then we also have, as part of this, design games and puzzles throughout the space that our students and staff can come in and you can see some of the stuff that we have going on. Not only for this is this ability to come into the library, but for our students, when you have 1,900 kids, they actually don't know each other. And so this is a way for our students to introduce themselves to others over a non-threatening way. It's also a chance for them to put down their phones. And it's a nice opportunity. Our biggest hit, I think, right now is that chessboard. And and I love it. I love the other day we had some students that came in. And there are four gentlemen, and every day they come in and it's first block, and they just kind of look at each other, and two of them know each other, and the other two don't. And every day they kept getting closer and closer to that chessboard, and now all four of them will play and they talk strategy. And these four boys would never have interacted outside of the library. So part of this is we're trying to foster that conversation with students. We want them to feel like they have a space in here, and that has also helped. Um, the other thing that we have tried to do is we have tried to give kids voice in what is heard. Just yesterday, a kid said, "Do you have a cribbage board?" And I'm like, "No, no, we don't." And that is on our next order. So she loves cribbage and she's been bringing her own one in and she brings a new person in every day and she is teaching them how to play cribbage. So we're going to help support that. So that's part of what we are doing. In our next slide, what you didn't see in the first picture is we also have a maker space and I also have a teaching space along with the big library. So our maker space can actually fit a whole class, so 30 students in it, and it is open actually all day long. So students can come at any point. They can do creative stuff, whether it's for class or it's for their own personal enjoyment. Once again, it's that chance to be off their phone, to be hands-on. We have 100-minute classes. So for a lot of our kids, this when they step out of the classroom, this chance to decompress and have an opportunity to show it a little different gives them a chance. In the different pictures, so the first picture on the left, students are actually making some glass vials using some paint. Some of them actually made it for themselves to have just in their own, and some of them actually were making them for gifts for others. And we are totally okay that whatever they want to do with this opportunity is their choice. We don't care. The second one was we offered journals and gave students a chance to come in and they could not only get a journal, but they could decorate it. One of our school goals is really pulling in social emotional competencies. And so each month we have different competencies that we are working on, and part of it is really to try to tune in to that, and a lot of our students have picked up journaling, and we wanted to give them this opportunity to go, I don't want to say old school, but hand, paper, it is theirs. They create it and they own this type of their own learning and their own reflection. And the third picture is a group of students that I just absolutely adore. They come in twice a month with me, but we were talking about how do we handle stress. And one of the things that we worked on was making slime. So opportunity to work on some skills as well as to like use it when we needed to, you know, s- have a stress relief. So we have the makerspace. Inside that, we also have like sewing machines that our kids can come in and fix clothes. We have an opportunity for them to come in and paint. We use that makerspace when we have homecoming. They make posters, um, random stuff like asking people on dates. Like you name it, that makerspace gets used a lot. Um, I have to like be completely honest, like this is a team effort. Like I have assistants that run the makerspace too. It's not like this is just me. They run a lot of the programming. It also gives them a chance to have voice. Our students also help like determine what gets run. So we have open maker spaces where the kids can take anything out and kind of be creative, but we also offer times for them, like we're very specific, like the journal writing, like we said, come on in during the lunch hour. We will give you the sorry, I was going to say ingredients, and it's not ingredients. We will give you the materials needed for this, and you can do it. So we've done everything from lip balm to bath bombs. We did a community outreach where we took old t-shirts, we got donated old t-shirts, and we did dog toys, and we donated them to the dog shelters. We've done blankets and we've donated them to shelters. So part of it is giving back. Part of it is stuff for them. Part of it is just for others. So the makerspace has been a great way for our students to be able to do this. And a lot of this is donations. Like now that we've done it, like we get a lot of donations, which is great. And we figure out what to do with those donations to make it work as a low budget opportunity. The last thing that we are really trying to do is offer opportunities to connect. And once again, like we're a school of 1900. Our kids are feeding in from three different middle schools into the high school, as well as a lot of parochial schools. So the kids don't always know each other. Our scholars don't always know each other. And there's not always a chance for them to like even see who they are and friends. So some of the things that we do to offer that is we offer writing clubs, we offer book clubs. We give them a chance to come in and do activities together. And a lot of this is not only run by me, but I actually have a group that run these activities. So I have a leadership board and book club, and they literally come up with the activities and they run the activities for us. So they stand up, they lead our students through. Um, Today, so like about an hour and a half, my book club meets. And today we're going to do book spine poetry. And they're going to have some themes that the kids are going to do, but they're leading it through. They've decided what our next books are going to be. They lead the discussions. For our writing clubs, they figure out what our prompts are going to be. They figure out how we're going to edit together, and then they figure out how we are going to connect and interact. Once again, these are students that would never really talk to each other outside of the library, and yet when they come in, you can see the smiles. This is who they are. We do not only the puzzles, but we also do the little stickers, as you can see. And this is like students walk by and they're all putting it together and they feel this sense of like as a school, we are creating a picture and it's like we are Wildcats. That's our school mascot, and we are trying to just come together as a team and do it. The last one is we had an activity where the students could recreate scenes from a book using food. And then they had a voting contest and they were sharing out. So it was students who liked books, who liked reading, and then they were sharing their ideas with others. And then the kids were also writing down like, oh, I want to go read this book. And partly like they were creative. They also got to eat it, but it was a chance to be creative. Next slide, please. Some of the other things we do to connect, I'm going to start with the one on the right. I have a group of student ambassadors that help buy books for the library. It's not just me. They actually go to Barnes& and Noble with me. We get on a bus, we go shopping together, we talk about power of voice, power of representation, whose voices are in our library, whose voices might not be heard in our library, and then they go through the library or go through Barnes and they help find books that they think should be in our space. So this is ways for them to show me like whose voices that they feel should be there. Um, they a lot of times will be able to say like here, here's a group in school that might find this interesting. This might be an individual, but as you can see on the pile on the floor, they just come and they do it, and we work our way through Barnes through different areas that they find the resources for me. This has always been super, super successful. Um, Love it. On the left, we also have a group of very avid readers that are our summer book promoters. So we offer a chance for students to get book selections for the summer. And they fill out a Google form with some of their interests, what they like. Um, and our students go through and they find books and they give them for the summer reads. So they check them out for the summer. A lot of schools don't check out books for the summer. I want the books off my shelves. Like there's no purpose in having them on my shelves in the summer. But they are very diligent, take it to heart that they go and they find books for not only students, but they find books for our staff. Um, we have probably 30 to 40 adults in the district that ask our kids to pick out their summer reads. So all of this gives them a chance to create ownership in the library. It gives them a chance to like take that piece in the library. So all of this we are just trying to do because it goes back to we want our students to be seen, heard, and valued. And when students feel like the space is theirs, then it starts to um, come through. So I know that I am blessed with space. I am blessed with people power. I couldn't do this by myself. And my two assistants are actually out there watching the library right now. So I can do this, and it's a truly a team effort, but I love being able to be in service of our scholars. So there we go, Jen.
Oh, thanks. Thank you so much, Teresa. That was really great. I'm struck by the carving out small moments piece. You know, you're talking about a really large community, and what you're doing is finding those ways for them to connect in small groups that I think obviously pays dividends when it comes to what happens outside the library. So thank you so much for sharing how you're caring for your students. And we're going to keep on the student support train. I'm pleased to welcome our final presenter today. Helena Simbola, the student engagement librarian for UW Eau Claire's McIntyre Library. So Helena's going to talk about the various ways their library focuses on student wellness through their makerspace workshops, their repair fair, which spoiler or fun fact, they are also an Ideas to Action winner from a previous year. So we're excited to hear more about the ways you're involving students in your space. So thanks so much for being here.
Great. Thank you so much for the invitation. Hi, everybody. So my name is Helena, as Jen just mentioned, and I am excited to talk to you today about our makerspace. I'm a student engagement librarian at McIntyre Library, a medium-sized public academic library serving about 9,000 students at the University of Wisconsin in Eau Claire. And I've been in this role for 5 years. I primarily work to connect students, especially traditionally underserved students, with the library's resources, and to that end, collaborating with other campus-wide partners to identify those students and to collaborate together on different kinds of initiatives. So today I'll again talk about how the Blue Gold Makerspace, as we call it, after our mascot, has worked to foster a sense of community amongst the students that we serve. Next slide, please. So I'll first begin by a snapshot of college students' mental health. It comes as no surprise that depression and anxiety levels amongst college students have increased from the numbers they used to be 10 years ago, coinciding with high reports of feelings of loneliness. Part of the story is, of course, decreased stigma and an increase in interventions, but part of it is not feeling a sense of community or finding your, what I call, campus village. I was invited to actually be a part of a campus-wide work group a few years ago that focused on researching and creating guidance for how instructors can create a sense of belonging for their students in their classrooms. And specifically, a sense of belonging was identified because it was determined that it helped support students' mental health, academic success, and retention. This becomes especially important for underrepresented student groups like first-gen students and students of color because it validates that they also fit into campus culture. Next slide, please. So these were our operationalized results from that work group on student belonging. They're geared towards instructors. However, they validated and informed much of the work that we are doing in the library and continue to do. And they gave us some ideas of the work that we can pursue as well. So I just want to quickly go over some of these boxes, finding ways to acknowledge the real lives of our students and the barriers they face. I think as librarians or library supporters on this call, we definitely think about our users and some of the challenges that they face and how we can support them. As we've heard from all of our speakers today, there's excellent interventions that are being done. Thinking of ways to revise office hours or student hours time or study hours. So revising that from office hours to giving students a sense of ownership of that space. This is also something that we strive to do in the library. This isn't just, our library that we're opening up to students. We try to give students the sense that it is their space. They can provide suggestions that we will then sort of use to inform either our policies, our collections, the kinds of resources that we then offer. So we really want them to think of this space as their own and that they're active agents in co-creating the spaces, the collections, the resources, and tools that we have to provide. Acknowledge the difficulty of context and that students are not expected to have prior knowledge to succeed. This is specific for, academic classrooms, but I think this also applies to libraries, especially in makerspaces and in other types of spaces where we have to keep in mind that maybe some students coming into academic libraries have never entered a library before, or maybe they have ideas that it is this, Ivy Tower type of place that's really intense and only a place for studying, and you're going to get shushed by a mean librarian. And so getting ahead of some of those potential preconceptions of what academic libraries are is important, and just helping students recognize that we're people too, and just humanizing ourselves a little bit so that when they do enter the space, they kind of have an idea of what to expect, or maybe they'll see a familiar face that they saw at orientation, things like that. Express that you believe in your students and their ability to meet your expectations. We are privileged enough to have a student budget for student library workers. And so as a result, we are able to use those workers to kind of man the front desk. And so therefore, students coming into the library can see a friendly face, they have consistent schedules. They build those connections and relationships that way. And we have a wonderful student manager team that constantly reinforces this idea that, we're here to build community and provide a sense of support for students that are coming in. And our students are just so wonderful at doing that. So, and then sharing humanizing stories about failure. This is really important when I talk about the makerspace, because it can feel like a very daunting space to anyone. Maybe you don't consider yourself a maker or a creative type. And just removing that barrier of just saying this is really for everyone. Anyone can access this. You don't have to be what you consider good. You can just try things out. This is a space for exploration and for tinkering around. So this just ethos of creativity, of daring to fail, of trying new things is something that is embedded within our makerspace. And then, of course, provide active learning activities. This is what libraries are all about. And this is why I'll be talking about the makerspace. So next slide, please. All right, so this is actually our makerspace currently. As you can imagine, I'll talk a little bit about the history, but we were able to find and fashion an old faculty lounge in the lower level of the basement, mainly because it had a sink, and turned it into our makerspace. And so just a little bit about the history. I will note that I was not here for the original sort of inception and the gathering of donations. I've worked here for 5 years, and the makerspace idea came to the forefront around 2017. So we know that students create knowledge, community, build skills through various avenues, and libraries can provide equitable access to a variety of multimodal resources. Embracing this idea, folks who were here in 2017 were determined to create a makerspace, a space in our library to include tools, technologies, supplies, expertise, and community. But how does a library in a state with well-publicized and major budget cuts to higher education, we're thinking like 2015 era, manage to do this? Well, we did this through collaborative relationships, using and creatively repurposing what we had, and intentional communication. A makerspace task force was created, and they agreed that a makerspace should prioritize sustainability, training and education, the democratization of access to resources and community. It should be more than just a space and equipment. It should facilitate interaction, collaboration, and co-learning. So we engaged with interested faculty members who spread the word, spread the gospel, if you will, to their departments, and then also engaged with students through tabling by borrowing some 3D printers that some faculty members had. Especially there was a math professor that used 3D printing quite a bit and was enthusiastic about it. And they let us borrow these 3D printers that, of course, got students to our table and got them talking, and we were able to ask students what they wanted from a makerspace. We were explaining to them what we were envisioning, and so we were getting some student input from the get-go. Eventually, we actually wrote up a proposal and got initial startup funding through Student Senate, as well as the Student Information Technology Commission, which helps fund advances that are outside of our LTS department specifically for students. So once we got students on board, of course, it was easier then to make the case for even more funding for foundation and donors and other outside entities. So ultimately, through student fees, donors, and generous donations from faculty members, as well as community members, we scrapped together art supplies, 3D printers, and purchased a laser engraver, some power tools, handheld tools, button maker, and more to put into that space. This, obviously, as I mentioned before, the space part was not an issue given the decade-long trend of moving collections to an electronic format and the weeding of outdated materials and, flat staff budgets. So then that created space that where an office used to be, for example, we could repurpose that space to something else. All library and staff members were invited, but not required to join the Makerspace team. And today we have 7 staff and faculty members working in the Makerspace team, and I myself am one of those faculty members. And we originally got the budget for hiring some student workers for that space due to launching a new advancement initiative. We call it MVPs, our McIntyre Valued Partners. We eliminated low-use library hours, and through the MVPs, community members have a way to engage in the Makerspace, because right now it is currently open to only current staff and faculty members, given our initial startup funds were originally coming from student dollars. And we are in the talks of perhaps reimagining that, because we are potentially, we're hopeful that we're going to be expanding the Makerspace to cover a larger part of the lower level as we moved our books from the basement, not an ideal place for books, to a different floor. Now we have some more basement space, and we just got approval and we got new floors for this new space, which is very exciting. It currently has nice glass doors, but no walls. So it's an interesting look right now. In progress, but we're hopeful that within the next 2 years, we might be able to scrap up together some more funding. We've done it before to expand into that space. So now we've built it. Will they come? Next slide, please. All right. So before I go into some of these photos, I just want to talk a little bit about when this was originally launched. It was launched around 2019, and there was some general disappointment at the fact that we didn't get that rush of students that I think folks expected, because we were doing so much outreach and communication with faculty and students. And that could just be because it's the newer space on campus. There was actually a Makerspace on campus in the material sciences building, but that was just limited to material sciences students. And we wanted to create the space that was open and available and accessible to all students, to all, folks who wanted a sense of community and who wanted to create with other people. So we really wanted it to be sort of an equitable space for all students on campus. And then the pandemic hit. So then all of our efforts kind of got shut down. But then when everything reopened again, we realized that students really wanted a space to interact with other students or work side by side with other students without necessarily having to have a conversation with them. They wanted to find their spot on campus. And originally, when we were pitching this idea out to folks, some people thought of it as frivolous. Like, why would an academic library need a makerspace? Is this just the purview of public libraries? And some of the response that we were able to give is, well, people don't really question or blink an eye when, we spend millions of dollars on a new sports facility. And we believe that, you can generate community from throwing a football to also using a needlepoint. So those are just 2 of many ways that students can engage with one another. And we didn't see it as frivolous at all. We saw it as meeting students' needs and meeting students where they were at. So after everything opened up again in around 2020, 2021, this was when I was hired. in my role as a student engagement officer, I was really pushing the makerspace to orientation. We grabbed our button maker and brought it to all of our orientation tabling. So our orientation here at Eau Claire has a resource fair, of which the library is a part of. And I'm happy to report we have long lines of students wanting to make buttons that our student workers have created. So some of them are unhinged, some of them are not. And students just love making them. And we have Blue Gold parent buttons, like a Blue Gold mom, Blue Gold dad. And those are always a hit. We always have to print out a lot more. And that's just a way to introduce students to the idea that the library does have books. We have a popular reading collection, and that's great. We also have all these other spaces and resources for you all to use. And just a really quick story, I did have a student say to me directly while I was tabling, no other university in the UW system has offered this. Like they specifically said a button maker. And I definitely think they were being hyperbolic here a little bit, but they're like, I want to come to the university because I can see that you all have a space for me as a maker. I don't have to bring my sewing machine. You all have sewing machines here. Like our library is open over the summer. So when students and their families are coming here for orientation, we invite them to walk over to the library when they get the chance to just explore all the different spaces that we have to offer, including the makerspace. So these images here, in addition to just sort of word of mouth, we made bookmarks. We talk about it in all of our one-shot classes with students. We call them here Gen 100 students. So students who are learning about academic success and skill building. We talk about the makerspace in all of those courses. Word spread, and we get tons of students. I mean, the space is not very huge at all, but we do get tons of students, and we have some overflow space coming into the space for workshops, which I've included photos of here. We have a mending and repairs workshop where we do use those sewing machines, or we have workshops on crocheting and embroidery, making paper flowers, making ribbons around the holiday season, making ornaments with our laser engraver around the holiday season. We've made these really cool slate coasters on the laser engraver that just really look nice as potential gifts. We run electronic Arduino workshops as well for students. So we just have a lot of creative faculty and staff members on here that are eager to share their skills with students, working to build that sustainability within the whole program. We have a craft swap so that students can leave things that they don't use and then just take things that they need. And it's just free and open. It lives outside of the actual makerspace, which we do lock when there aren't staff available to sort of be in that space. So the hours are a little different than our regular open library hours. That's some of the workshops that we do. Next slide, please. In addition to workshops, we of course ran the repair fair that you all know about last year. We had over 100 attendees, had high quality conversations, extended this idea of sustainability to the public. It was open to students as well, held it on campus. We had all these different kinds of repair and had a kids table because we wanted it to be sort of community facing and community friendly. Next slide, please. And then, of course, we invite classes and faculty members to the makerspace as well. So this is another way that we introduce the makerspace to various, folks that would think that they would want their students to engage with the space a little bit more. This was a languages department workshop in the makerspace that we just held 2 days ago. People were making bookmarks and bracelets, and we were making buttons with sayings from other languages, and it was great. It was community building, and they all learned from each other. And then final slide, please. These are two of our student workers, Amelia and Rachel. They are lovely, wonderful. As you can see, they also helped us with Eau Claire Repair Fair. I just wanted to end by bringing up a question that often gets brought up to librarians these days, which is, will libraries cease to exist in the age of AI? My answer has always been the same, which is, I'm not too worried about it. The reason libraries are around today is because we know how to pivot towards our users' needs, whether that be creating a space for fixers or makers, or continuing to champion digital literacy, evaluating information. These skills and opportunities for connection do not lose importance in this new era. They gain even more significance. And so with that, I genuinely want to thank everyone on this call, library workers and library supporters, for your continuous commitment to our institutions.
Thank you so much, Helena. And I just want to offer another big thank you to all our presenters. Wow, the scope and the variety of what you're all doing is so different. I think that's because you understand the unique needs of your communities, and so you're responding to what you know is going to be well received. And these are stories of belonging and ownership. You've really set the bar high and given us some great things to think about. So thank you. Okay, now as promised, we want to share with you a few updates from the WiLS team. We are right on time, and we promise that we'll be ending here around 11:30. So 10 minutes is not a lot for us to share everything that we've been working on over the past year. So we're just going to hit some highlights. However, for a deeper dive, if you're curious more about what is happening in the office here at WiLS and out in our member community, please check out our 2025 annual report. It's more than just a report. It's a visual celebration of this community, of you all that we work with. And we took a little bit of a different twist this year and decided to share the happenings here at WiLS through the lens of our staff, what they found most meaningful this year. So we hope you have a few moments to take a peek at that. In keeping with today's theme, our our WiLS update won't just include what we care about, but what everyone in our member community cares for. So please enjoy the inaugural WiLS membership and staff Pet and Plant Parade. So at the bottom, thank you for those of you who shared your loved ones with us and with everyone here today. So I'm going to turn things over to Kim Kieswetter, the WiLS data analyst and honorary Wisconsinite. So Kim, here you go.
Thanks so much, Jen. Hello, as just mentioned, I'm Kim. I work as a consultant and data analyst on our consulting team here at WiLS, and I'm here to share with you briefly about WiLS Ideas to Action Fund. This competitive fund provides grants up to $5,000 for innovative and reproducible projects. Since 2018, we have awarded over $266,000 to 64 libraries and cultural organizations, and we would love to hear from you if you have a project idea in the coming future. As demand for the fund has grown each year, WiLS recently has undergone a review of the application process to provide additional information and clarification to applicants on what makes for a stronger ideas to action proposal. Briefly, we're looking for proposals that, one, define a clearly articulated need, problem, or challenge in conjunction with any broader application to the wider library and cultural organization ecosystem. Two, include articulated partnerships. Three, are innovative, inspiring, and involve novel ideas and concepts. Four, frame the project around the broader goal of the proposal versus around any specific equipment purchases. Five, includes a fully itemized budget with rough cost estimates being totally fine. And six, demonstrates a commitment to the spirit of the grant program. WiLS also offers the opportunity for applicants to request WiLS staff time to be included in their award, but of note, only grant applications requesting less than that full $5,000 may also request staff time. WiLS is open to so many ideas. We heard from a number of previous recipients this morning already, and it was so inspiring to me, and I am thinking it was to you all as well. But that said, there's a few types of projects we are unlikely to fund due to challenges in making these projects reproducible by others, which is a key element of the fund. And these include proposals that involve straight line equipment purchases, author talks and visits, and other honoraria and budget items related to paying for consulting services. I am elated to share that our next grant application period opens very soon on April 6, 2026, and it will remain open for roughly 2 months through June 5th, with with awards being announced in September 2026. Feel free to reach out to us for more information at i2a@wils.org and be on the lookout for the grant application opening. I'm going to pass the baton now to my co-conspirator when it comes to ideas to action, Sarah.
Thanks, Kim. Good morning, everyone. I'm Sarah Gold, and I have the pleasure of working with our members as a community liaison to bring new partnerships to WiLS. The WiLS Cooperative Purchasing Team works as a strategic partner between member libraries and vendors, utilizing ongoing communication, research, and relationship building to ensure members have timely access to the resources that they need. Using a variety of tools such as listening to our members, monitoring the library landscape, and identifying potential needs and challenges, WiLS is able to build strong partnerships with vendors, connecting them to our members. A significant benefit of this service is that we're prepared to assist when our members need us the most. A powerful example of this occurred in October last year with the announcement of the closing of Baker & Taylor, one of the nation's largest book distributors. The swift closure of Baker & Taylor caused WiLS members to pivot quickly to secure new sources for their print books. Our members look to us for information and solutions, and the good news is that WiLS already had partnerships in place with trusted, reliable library suppliers who provide discounts to program participants. A few examples include Mackin, who has provided fast, reliable service to WiLS K-12 members for years. They're based regionally in Minnesota, and Mackin can provide titles to public libraries as efficiently as they do to schools. Another partnership established in 2024 is with Ingram Library Services, who offers among its services Ingram Express, a rush solution that provides easy access to more than 19 million in-stock titles. Demco, one of WiLS' longest-standing partners, offers resources such as a book care guide, which provides practical guidance on preparing books for circulation, in addition to the supplies to complete the work. Building and maintaining strong relationships with our members, vendor partners, and organizations that support schools and libraries through cooperative purchasing is a foundational service of WiLS. We are committed to enhancing and expanding these relationships to better understand and respond to the evolving needs of both our members and our vendor partners. And with that, I will hand it off to Andy Coffin. Thank you.
Hey, everybody. I'm Andy Coffin. I am WiLS Communications and Consortia Manager, and I'm going to talk a little bit today about some events we held with our academic library community. In January of 2025, a member reached out because in her college, she and members of her faculty were a little concerned that access to reliable, accurate information on government websites, particularly federal ones, was going to change. She was wondering if others in our community had expressed similar concerns and if any alternatives or alternate strategies were emerging. And while I didn't and WiLS didn't have answers to that question, we did have access to a very engaged member community of academic libraries, and we could reach out to see if they were interested in having a conversation. And yeah, they were. So in March of 2025, we held the first academic library lunch and learn. We called them brown bags. We had over 70 registrants to the event. WiLS provided and administered the virtual meeting space, the registration, some communications about the event, and support for the facilitators, who were Paige Barreto and Dawn Haggerty of Gateway Technical College. But the smarts and the advice were brought by the community. The discussion wasn't recorded to make space for candid conversations, but resources were captured and shared with registrants afterwards. And folks wanted to continue the conversations, so we held 2 more lunchtime learning and sharing sessions, one in May and one in December. And we were joined along the way by additional facilitators, Jeff Bruner of WiLS and Beth Harper of UW-Madison. And through these 3 conversations, we compiled a pretty substantial bank of alternative resources and support materials, and we created a little network of library staff facing the same challenge. So at WiLS, 2 strengths as an organization we can offer to our member community are our independence and our flexibility. And I'm really proud that we were able to leverage those for the benefit of the member community and respond directly to a need with like appropriate speed. But mostly, I'm proud that we get to work with our members who are dedicated to this work and interested in solving problems together. And so with that, I'm going to pass it on.
Hello, I'm Nick Smith, WiLS's operations assistant. I do a lot of work on our cooperative purchasing and our administration teams. And today I'm covering a little bit about our pro bono and volunteer time off, or VTO policy. Prior to 2025, WiLS had a pro bono policy that allowed staff to spend up to 2% of their time on work in or adjacent to our member community that had no associated revenue for WiLS. The goal was to encourage staff to give some of their time and expertise to the community surrounding WiLS in a way that the organization wasn't positioned to do. Most staff who used that pro bono policy would give presentations, serve on committees, write articles and blog posts, be mentors, and other sorts of things within our member community. While that policy worked well for some folks on staff, it was challenging for some others to take advantage of in a way that satisfied their interests and goals. So, in late 2024, we decided to add a volunteer time off option. In addition to using their expertise to benefit Wisconsin's library land, staff could also use the same allotted 2% of their work time to volunteer at a 501c3 charity or public entity of their choice, or do a team volunteer activity with their colleagues. In the last year, it has turned out to be a really positive change. Even though utilization of our pro bono policy has been on the rise since we started it in 2022, it really took off in the last year. Compared to the year before, in 2025, twice as many folks on staff made use of the VTO or pro bono policy, and those staff members worked on 50% more volunteer projects and put 45% more hours toward improving their communities. And I think that's really wonderful. My volunteer opportunity of choice is probably one of the least library related. I've been volunteering and serving on the board of a local bicycle nonprofit called Freewheel, and our goal is simply to teach people to maintain and repair and love their own bikes and provide a shop space, tools, and teachers to make that happen. No one is turned away, and we really do our best to provide a warm and supporting atmosphere for people to learn and exist in. I started volunteering there in January of 2024, just out of a desire to get out more and do more things with my hands. And a year later, I joined the board and have been able to increase my time commitment there, partially due to WiLS's VTO policy. It really does make it a lot easier to lend a hand during the work week when I otherwise would have to use my personal time off, and a lot of other folks who are working full time aren't able to lend that hand at all. And I found the policy to be a great encouragement to advance WiLS's values by helping create community and making positive change in the world. If you have any questions about the specifics of our policy and how it works, feel free to reach out to us. Our contact info is very handily on the next slide. And with that, I will hand the mic back to Jen to finish this out.
Thanks, Nick and everyone. And I have to give a shout out because today is Nick's birthday. So send some good birthday vibes through the Zoom airwaves here to our beloved colleague, Nick. Happy birthday. So we know you all have lots of places you could be today. We don't take it lightly that you just spent over an hour with us. So thank you for being here. Again, another big joyful thank you to our panelists for shining a light on the caring work happening in their organizations, and we know is representative of what's happening all across the state at all of our member orgs. Also, another shout out to our fabulous WiLS board and the fabulous WiLS staff who helped bring this meeting to life. We're so grateful for you all. So if you want to connect with us, there are many ways, and we welcome hearing from you on any or all of them. You can see that on the slide, the different ways to get connected. And before we hop off, I have two quick requests. First, we hope you'll participate in a very brief 2-question meeting evaluation as you leave today. Your feedback will help us fine-tune this annual experience for everyone. And then keep an eye out coming soon in your email, our WiLS community survey. We do this every 2 years. It's your chance to tell us what you're loving, what you want us to tweak, and what you would dream up next for the services we provide and the ways in which we work together. It's short, it's sweet, and it will help us make this community even better. So we can't wait to hear what you have to say. If just sharing that feedback isn't enough of an incentive, we have an extra one, and all respondents will be placed into a raffle to win coffee and donuts. Donuts are sort of a thing here at WiLS if you haven't picked up on that already. I will hand deliver them wherever you are in the state. So I'm so excited to hear from you and to see where I'm going to end up later this spring. So thank you again, sincerely, from the bottom of our hearts. Take care of yourself, take care of others, and have a happy weekend. Thanks, everyone.